Hello, good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to our next episode. Today we have one and only Emma Parla, who is a financial planner. Today we'll be talking about financial well-being, and Emma will be talking about the benefits of planning for individuals and for employees as well, and how employers can support. So I'm Rosalind Kurumi from Rosad HR. I'll hand over to my co-presenter.
Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Michelle Smith and I'm from Clarity and Beyond, and I am very much looking forward to chatting to Emma about financial well-being today. So
Right.
welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you. So without further ado, I will hand over to Emma to introduce herself, and Michelle will start with the questions that we have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rosalind. So as the ladies have introduced me, my name is Emma Parla. I am a financial planner. I've worked in financial services pretty much my entire working life, so it's quite a while. I've picked up a few tips along the way, and I've seen quite a few pitfalls that people tend to fall into through no fault of their own. So I agreed to come and have a chat on the podcast to try and put some facts behind the myths, as it were.
Thank you.
Always an important thing to do. Because finances can feel like such a minefield, and where there are myths out there, busting them is definitely the way forward.
Of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, in terms of understanding financial well-being, what does that mean for individuals and also for employees?
So financial well-being is actually a really, really massive thing. We all worry about money. However much money we've got, there'll be something in there that we worry about. Unfortunately, we can't get through life without it. It'd be very nice to go back to the old bartering system, but we can't get through life without it. And yet we have no education. It's not included in the school's curriculum. We have grown up in a culture where it's taboo to talk about money. We don't talk about money, politics, or religion at the dinner table, but actually we should be. We share recipes. We share gym fitness routines. Why do we not share our knowledge on money? Okay, so financial well-being is part of all that. It can cause a lot of stress, and a lot of the stress is simply caused because we don't have the knowledge, and then we tend to be ashamed to ask about it. In fact, there's some facts out there that there was a survey done by a company called WageStream, and they cited that 40% of UK employees, their biggest worry is financial. 24% worry about it every single day, and 35% say that they're ashamed to talk about money. And that's just really, really, it shouldn't be that way in today's society. It's a taboo that doesn't need to be a taboo.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're saying that, it's like, gosh, yes, it is, isn't it? But why? And I can't think of any logical reason why that would be the case, other than the fact that it's so ingrained into our culture and our society that it's difficult to break out of that.
Exactly, and because we're not given any financial guidance, even when you go to university, you're not given any financial guidance. It's the government. Please take this loan. We'll charge you a massive amount of interest from the day you receive it. They don't tell you all that side of it. They just say, "Oh, it's fine. Go to university and take a loan out." But even like our habits with money start at a really young age. So if our parents have had good habits, the likelihood is that we would have good habits going forward as well. But it's the way we discuss money within our families as well. So I grew up in a family that didn't have a vast amount of money, so it always felt like you couldn't have things because the money wasn't there, and mum was always saying we can't afford, rather than flipping to say, okay, that's not in my budget at the moment, but how can we make sure that we can do that in the future? Or rather than flipping that side, and it's just tiny different word patterns that can take that negative aspect away and bring in a more positive one. And talking about money at the dinner table, I would, because it's my job, but I wouldn't sit next to somebody and say, how much did you earn last year? You know, on a one-to-one basis, that's my job. I'm going to ask those questions. But I would sit next to the table and say, have you heard of a new government scheme that can give you £1,000 for, 25% on top of savings? That sort of thing. That's different. But we just don't do it. We just don't do it. And it's just, there's just no rhyme or reason for it.
So flipping that language and changing the negative to the positive, that's one strategy that we can use. But what other strategies can you suggest that we can use to get the conversation started?
To get the conversation started, well, if I do financial seminars, and I encourage the people that come to my financial seminars to talk about what they've learned. Okay, so again, it's the old adage of not sitting there and asking how much you earn. That's you wouldn't do that, or saying how much was your car, or how much is your mortgage, all that. You don't do that. But you could say, oh, I went to a really interesting seminar today about money and I learned X, Y, and Z. You know, if I'd made a nice cake, which I probably wouldn't because I'm not much of a baker, but I'd be shouting about it. You know, I'd be saying, oh my goodness, I made this amazing cake. This recipe came from such and such sort of thing. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, passing on that knowledge and that good news is.
Yeah,
it makes you feel good, doesn't it, when you pass on something that's going to help somebody else?
Yeah, but there is a danger in that as well. It's the old adage of old Bob down the pub said. You know, Bob down the pub might not have the knowledge there. He's heard it, or he doesn't know the full situation, or financial planning is a holistic thing. So every thing is individual to other people. But for example, I shared with you, Michelle, on your group the savings scheme for the people on universal credit. Who knew about that?
There was a lot of people that said, oh wow, thanks, I'm going to take a look at that.
You know, so it's that sort of thing that you can pass on, factual knowledge, not advice, factual knowledge. You know, if somebody's worried about something, or they're thinking, how are they going to survive in their retirement, that sort of thing, then you need to go to the qualified person, the financial planner, to talk about that. But the factual things, like I would send out links, sort of thing, check it out on the HMRC website. That's the things that we can be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any examples of where organisations have maybe done some of this stuff to support their employees? Yeah,
so there's actually quite a lot that organisations can do. So the majority of planners would happily go into an organisation and sit in front of a dozen people and give them financial wellbeing presentation. And that starts right at the very, very basic. What does your pay slip like? Do you understand it? Because there'll be so many people out there that are on the wrong tax code. And it might only be a few pounds or whatever, but why should those few pounds be in HMRC's pocket and not our pocket? You know, and it's just simple things like that. And you can bet your bottom line that the majority of people just look what arrives in their bank account, don't even look at their pay slip. You know, so they could be on the wrong tax code, they could be paying too much for certain benefits. There's all sorts of things going on in your pay slip that you should be looking at every month. If your pay changes, then it's alarm bells. It's like, and that's the time that people look at it. But you should really understand it right from the very, very beginning. That's something employers could do. So, you know, that's part of to me, it's part of HR payroll. They should explain your pay slip. It's not a hard thing to do, you know?
I agree.
But yeah, so planners would go into a company and they'd start at the very beginning over your pay slip. Then we would go through budgeting and teach people how to budget properly, and then we'd talk a little bit about savings. So there's different kinds of savings schemes depending on what you're saving for. So for example, if you're saving for a house, there's different schemes that the government would give you bonuses for. If you're saving for longer term, then it tends to always be better to save into something other than cash, because cash actually sitting in the bank can lose value over time. So it's that thing, and you just go through it all, and you can see when you do these seminars light bulb moments going off around the room where people are like, you know, and that you just see the release straight away. They might not in that room say, I want to talk about X, because that's personal to them, but then they can have a chat with whoever's in the room afterwards. You know, so it's just opens the barrier, removes that barrier.
So actually, you know, in terms of organisational well-being as a whole, as you say, it's a holistic thing. Having a financial planner stand in front of a team of staff is probably a great place to start, isn't it? Because it gives them that chance to explore some of these things.
Exactly. And actually, there is a financial incentive for companies as well, because they can use a certain amount of money each year to provide financial advice for their employees. So.
Oh, okay. And actually that probably takes us quite neatly on to any current trends or insights, things that, you know, are affecting people, business owners, employees, individuals, like the cost of living, debt, lack of savings, that kind of thing. What sort of things are you seeing in your work, Emma?
So obviously the biggest thing is the cost of living. So we had Brexit and we had the pandemic both come on at the same time. So we're not sort of 100% which hit our pocket the hardest. But over that period of time, we had massive inflation and wages were not meeting that sort of thing. So the majority of people are living hand to mouth. But that in itself is an issue. So if you're living hand to mouth and then something goes wrong, what happens to your household? You know, the majority of people don't have any savings. The majority of people, if they're off sick for more than a month, they're on the poverty line. That's something that we as individuals can do, but also employees can help support that as well in various ways. People don't tend to have backup plans. It all stems back to that lack of financial education. So as a rule of thumb, ideally we should all have, and I know it's difficult when you're living hand to mouth, but we should all have at least 3 months essential outgoings sitting in an account for a rainy day and an emergency. We call it an emergency fund, so it's for a rainy day for an emergency. So if you are long-term sick, you know you've got a little bit of backup there. So that's kind of really big things. People don't have savings. The majority of the working, I want to say working class, I don't really mean working class, but you know what I mean. The majority of people don't have that backup, and that's the biggest issue. They feel frightened to talk to a financial planner. Historically, our industry has not had a great reputation, which I think is changing now. Now that they're bringing more women into the industry, we're like turning the tide a little bit, but I shouldn't say that either, because like men can be very good advisors. But people think that they have to have money to talk to a financial planner, and actually that's not the case. The earlier they talk to somebody, the better their finances through their life is going to be.
Yeah. And I suppose it can feel quite well, what's the point in me putting £10 away this week? Well, what good's £10? But I guess it's about building those keystone habits, isn't it?
It's exactly that, yeah. And talking about those keystone habits, so there's a couple of bits that I want to bring in here. So the majority of people don't understand compound interest. So compound interest, Einstein said it was the 8th wonder of the world, okay? So it can either work for you or it works against you. So if you're saving, then compound interest is a phenomenal tool. And the earlier you start saving, the bigger the pot will be, because you're getting interest on your interest. So that is the perfect example of why you should start saving for your financial freedom as early as possible. Like you say, Michelle, even if you're only affording to put £10 or £20 away, that grows and that starts snowballing. But compound interest can also have the adverse effect where if you've got lots of borrowing on credit cards or variable rate loans, which are few and far between really, you end up paying interest on your interest.
Of course.
So it works in the opposite way. So if people understand and get their head around things like that, they're less likely to rack up big credit card debts because they're thinking, oh my goodness, that interest is really adding up and I'm never getting it down. Back to the financial education piece as well. I mean, the government's got a lot to play in this. They really should have brought things into schools. But I've got an interesting question for you on compound interest. So, if you had the choice of having a penny that doubled every day for a month, or I gave you £50,000 each day for a month, which would you choose?
Penny.
Rosalind?
I will do the same. I'll choose penny.
The penny. Well, you're both quite right. Well done, ladies. Yeah. So if you have £50,000 a day, it only equates to 1.5 million at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But if you have a penny, it's over 5.5 million the way it doubles through the month. That it's really incredible. So if you think about that for your savings, you can start rubbing your hands in and being happy.
Yeah.
But if you think about that to credit card debt, that's how it can really eat away at your money. Another big thing at the moment, talking current trends and things. When I started out and moved into my first flat, I had nothing. I had a coffee pot and a mattress and a sleeping bag sort of thing. And you just kind of made do and you got things given to you and all that sort of thing. Now, with the instant gratification and social media, etc., everybody wants to have everything perfect right from word go. But how much is that actually costing in the long run?
Quick money.
You know, but that's going to affect your financial freedom in later life. If you can think, yeah, okay, I need to live my life now, I need to enjoy life now, but you also need to be thinking about that financial freedom, because that's not going to come cheap. We're living longer. Our pensions, our state pensions, if you live in London, our state pensions definitely not going to be enough to live on. So we need to have something else. And if we don't want to work until 68, then we need to be thinking about that longer term thing. So do I really need that top of the range new sofa when the one that I've got is perfectly adequate to sit on, and I've got young kids that are just going to ruin it anyway? You know, so you have to kind of like be a bit more sensible with the way you use your money. I think that's the it's just so easy to see all these glamorous images and think I want to be that, but actually you're destroying your wealth by doing that.
Yeah. So it's basically
That's quite a thought, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically kind of like a scale of preference. So buy what you need, not what you want, because the money is there, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
And save for the things that you want.
You want, yes.
You know, use that compound interest to your favour, not to your detriment. And then you're still building your wealth by doing it that way. If everything's borrowed and on loan and everything, you're just paying interest and interest and interest.
Yeah. And I think parents need to be educated on this as well. And like you said earlier, Emma, when you kind of introduced the financial well-being, so it's actually kind of what is being passed down. If the parents are actually, they know how to manage their wealth, or little that they have, you know, it's kind of something that they can pass down to the younger ones, especially our teenagers. They want trend, they want latest trainers, they've got everything that they want. It's like, okay, let me live the life now, you know. What am I saving? And sometimes you could understand the reason why I say, why am I saving? If I save, especially on ISA, how much am I going to get back? So let me enjoy my life now and then start thinking about savings. So, and I think again, parents needs to be educated, you know, to be able to pass it down to the children as well. So and people should not be afraid to approach financial planner like Emma just to find out, because people just think, oh, maybe the first consultation she's gonna charge me, you know. But people need to find out. It's like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Maybe they don't know if the first 15 minutes is free of charge or first half an hour. But the point is, try and engage with a financial planning as early as possible.
Exactly. And actually, we don't charge for that initial consultation. Okay, so for me personally, I do 90 minutes as the initial consultation, and there's no charge. So there's a lot of knowledge you can get in 90 minutes.
That's a lot.
But generally, most financial planners don't charge until a plan is put in place, and that's when the charges would kick in. So people really, really don't need to be frightened of seeing a financial planner. It's probably the most sensible thing to do as early on in life as possible. My youngest daughter's, well, she's through university now, but her friends, she's always saying to me, "I go and have a session with my mum." You know, go and have a session with my mum, and she'll sort. Did my internet?
No, you're still here, Emma. I think it's Rosalind that we've lost. So go and have a session with you. That's your youngest daughter's advice to her friends.
To her friends, yeah, you know, and they're out partying and enjoying life, but they know to be putting money aside as well, you know, so they know to be sort of thinking for the future as well.
Yeah, and it's those people that you come across that make a real impression on your life going forward. You know, I don't ever recall a point in my earlier years where a financial advisor came along and was able to guide me in the right direction. So don't start too early, I think, is the message that I'm getting here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Those habits, I mean, ideally, when you first start work, you should be able to live on 80% of your income, and the other 20% get put away.
Yeah,
you know, but like I say, today's instant gratification, people don't want to do that. They just want to spend all their money, and it's like if I mention pensions a little bit, your workplace pensions. The amount of people that say to me, "Well, it's not worth saving into my workplace pension," but the employer has to put a percentage in. So if you're not contributing to it, you're missing out on that free money from the employer. You're missing out on your tax relief, which is then going to compound and escalate.
Yes.
You know, so the earlier you start, the bigger that compound is going to be. So even if you think I'm only going to be in this job a couple of years or whatever, always save into your workplace pension, because you get free money.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so. And I love the 80-20 actually, because I think coming from HR perspective, I actually last year, I'm actually a financial wellbeing champion with Well. So it's just to support my clients as well. And that 80-20 is very, very important. It's very important. But it's just people just need to sit down and think, you know,
Yeah. It's like when you get a pay rise, don't spend it all, you know. Put some of it away.
You know what I did during COVID? Obviously, traveling to central London every day, except Fridays that I work from home. I actually saved for that year. I saved my travel expenses. I opened a separate account just to save it. Okay, I'm not traveling now. Let me see how much.
Yeah.
And now, when we then came back after COVID, it was a struggle for me, thinking I'm going to put that money back on traveling expenses. No way. I think I'm comfortable working from home. It was quite a lot of money, and I think when you then think about traveling expenses, even if you get pay rise, you think about traveling expenses, depending on your zone. You work in London, that's zone 1. I live in zone 4. So that means I have to buy 3, 2, and 1. That's quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
So those are the things that people think about in terms of all of that. And if you look at our younger ones now, they actively or intentionally, let me put it that way, looking for home-based work. They don't want to travel.
Yeah. There's another side to that as well. When you go into the office, you're more likely to buy a coffee on the way. You're more likely to buy your sandwich on the way. You don't make your lunch, that sort of thing. So that's one of the things that I do when we're talking about budgeting with people that might be struggling with money. And I'll be like, how many of you buy a coffee every week or every day or whatever? And it'll be surprising how many people that are saying they've got no money to save are buying a coffee every day.
Yeah.
Which to me is just crazy.
Yeah. And I was working in government department that time. We have a canteen. The more coffee you buy, they give you like a sticker. And that sticker, if you have like 5, this is government building, 5, and that they will give you free coffee. You don't think it's really worth it because of free coffee. Then you buy coffee in the morning, lunchtime you buy, like around 3 they go downstairs and buy another one, and they will keep, and they have like a lanyard where they keep all the stickers. And all for what? Just another cup of free coffee. Yeah. So those are the things that you need to think about. Okay, is it really worth it?
Yeah, exactly. So, exactly that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Emma. Thank you. And I think for me, this is just going into your service that you provide as financial planner as well. Just briefly, what kind of support can you offer directly to individuals? I know you've mentioned about that. You've mentioned budgeting as well. So, do you support around debt management, pension advice? And I know coming from HR, it's very difficult to advise people on pension. You cannot tell them, this is where you need to put your money. They need to do their own due diligence. So, I just want to know, in terms of your service for individuals, budgeting,
Yeah.
especially
Okay.
debt management. Yeah.
So debt management's not me. That's not my forte. I can guide people in the right direction. I can help them with their budgeting, but actually coming to debt management, there are HMRC specialised departments that can help with that. That's free of charge. So I would direct people, if it was that kind of individual, I would direct them to that. What I can help with is their life plan. Okay, so depending on where you are in your time of life, it might be a young person starting out, you might be a young family that's just had small children, or you might be coming to that part of your life where you're now thinking about financial freedom and slowing down. So everybody will be individual. So within that, I look at the full holistic side of things. So it will be, okay, so what do you want your retirement to look like? For those kind of, for everybody actually, what do you want your retirement to look at, and what sort of age do you want that to be? And that starts people really thinking, because what we tend to do is we tend to just roll through life and not really think about it until we're sort of 5 or 10 years before. It's never too late, but the earlier you start, the better. So there's all that side of things. I can look at people, for example, I went to see a young family the other day, and her husband had just started contracting. They're both quite well paid salaries, but her husband had just started contracting. So she was worried if she fell sick or anything happened to her, and then her husband couldn't find work, what would happen to the family finances. So I was able to support them there and put some protection in place for them, so that if that did happen, the family would be still self-sufficient, they'd still be able to cope. Pensions, I'm fully qualified to talk about pensions. So my biggest advice for pension is, you see things advertised on the television to consolidate all your pensions, etc. Never do it without taking financial advice, because there could be guarantees in your pension that you're not aware of. There could be protected bonuses. There's all sorts of little bits and pieces that if you ask them for information, they won't give it to you as the account holder. They'll only give it to a financial advisor. So what would happen is we go and ask all the majority of people these days don't stay in a job for very long, so they tend to have lots of different jobs, lots of different pensions. We go to the providers and ask for all the information, and then only if it's right for that person to move the pension would we suggest moving it. Okay, so it's not as easy as just going on pension B, for example, and just piling them all into one pot. Might not be the right thing to do, so always take advice. And like I already said, always opt into your workplace pension, because it's money for nothing. So there's all that sorts of thing in your kind of working life, and then might be saving for an event, or it might be school fees or anything like that. And then when we come to that financial freedom stage, we then start to think about things, especially if we're property owners in London. We've got the inheritance tax looming over us. So we can start planning to mitigate that as much as possible. And then after that, we start thinking about later life and how that can affect us or our loved ones. It might be that we're looking after elderly parents that might need to go into care. We don't want all the money to be spent on care fees, so there are things that we can put in place there that would support the elderly person to go into the care home that they want to go in, and know that it's going to be paid for as long as they need to be there. So it's the whole shebang for individuals. And then equally for employers, I can look at their employee benefits. So employee benefits is massive. There are things out there that you can really support your employee well-being by putting in place. For example, group income protection, death in service, private medical. It's all much less expensive if it's done through a company than if it's done individually. And even if you've only got a couple of employees, it can still things that can be put into place. So for employers, I can do the equal side from their angle to support their employees, which also helps with employee retention as well.
Of course, I was going to say that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so important, isn't it?
It is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That retention, yeah, and sickness and absence as well.
Exactly.
It reduces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, as an organization or small businesses, let me use the word SMEs. So, something that you can go in and do what we call launch and learn, just to educate the staff.
Yeah, so that to me would be a financial education seminar. Preferably, it's not done in the employee's own time. The employer should give them an hour and a half to have that educational piece done for them.
Yeah.
You know, because it is for the employer benefit as much as it is for the employee benefit. So I think personally the actual seminar should be in work time, not your lunch time. But that's my opinion.
So scrap the word launch and learn. So it has to be facility time specifically for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I like that.
I've got into quite a few companies and done it, and the heads of the company are always really grateful for the value that you add to their employees.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think coming from the employer perspective, especially the SMEs as well, so they need to be, no matter how many employees that they have, even if it's one, it shouldn't stop them from educating them.
Exactly.
And supporting them as well.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, if you've only got one employee, how important is that employee to you? So, so why would you not be supporting them, you know?
Yes. People. That's important. That's very important. Thank you. Thank you so much, Emma. I only have one more question. Are there any tax efficient or regulation advantage to offering financial wellbeing benefits?
Yeah, so the company, if it's an SME, they can claim a little bit back on their corporation tax or sole trader tax, or however they do their taxes.
Okay.
They can claim a bit back each year for financial advice for their employees. And also the benefits that we've just been talking about, they're all business expense, so they all have the effect of reducing your taxes as well. So there are many things that you can do that cost less than they look like they're going to cost, if that makes sense, to get much more value from them. Tax efficient. Everything we do is about tax efficiency. We want to give the government as little money as possible. They take enough from us as it is.
Yeah. So for the benefit of our viewers and the SMEs, so if they need to go to do this tax efficient, do they go to their accountant, the business accountant, or how do they claim this back?
So we're not accountants, okay?
Yeah.
And accountants are not financial planners.
Of course.
So there is some crossover in what we do, but a accountant would not be able to. So, for example, if you were a company director, the most tax efficient way to save for the future is pensions. Okay, so but an accountant would not be able to set that up for you. So if you went to your accountant and said, I want to do my pensions, can you do my pensions for me? They would have to then refer you on to a financial planner. So it depends on your accountant. No accountant is qualified to do the regulated advice side of things, but some accountants, they won't even think to say it to you. Okay, so you have to have that. Not is back to knowledge again. You have to have that certain knowledge as a company that actually, I've heard that might be tax efficient. Can we do that? And then the accountant might refer you to a relevant person. But you need to be asking the right questions. Otherwise, it tends not to happen.
You don't want to get it wrong.
In my experience. Yeah, well, they can't advise on pensions anyway. They can't advise on pensions or employee benefits or anything like that. So
the best thing to do then is to have a conversation with your accountant about accountants things, but make a point of having a conversation with a financial planner to make sure that you're getting all the advice that you need across the board.
Exactly. Yeah, ideally a planner would work in conjunction with the accountant. So a 3-way meeting would be really good.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Helpful.
Thank you so much, Emma. Emma, you've actually covered everything, supporting individuals, employees, and the business owners as well. Thank you, and it's been a pleasure having you here.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, for our viewers, we're gonna drop Emma's details in the chat as well, and what she can support you with, so you can reach out to Emma as well. So Michelle, do you have anything to say?
I don't. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I need to go and have a think about all of this. I'm really grateful for everything that you've shared, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you. And for all the employees out there, please do check your pay slips. I know the importance of that. From HR perspective, we always tell employees to check their pay slips. Sometimes they wait till they get their P60 end of May. That is when they then start thinking about HR. You know, you've got this wrong, you've got all of that. And like you said, Emma, people just think, oh, I've got the money in the bank. My wages has come in, my salary has come in. There's no need to open my pay slips until they get their P60.
Yeah.
Or they get a letter from HMRC. That is when they then start coming to HR and the finance team to actually sort it out for them. So please, it is your responsibility as an employee to check your pay slips, and at the same time as an employer, it's your responsibility to make sure salaries and wages are correct and they are put on the right tax code. Thank you so much, Emma. Until next time.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.